LaxFactor podcast. What is up, Lacrosse fans? You are watching the 112th episode of the LaxFactor Lacrosse podcast. I am your host, Ted Hoost, and today we're going to talk about the PLL playoffs. They went late into the night last night, and then I'm up at the crack of dawn this morning to report on these. So we're going to talk about the Whipsnakes win over the Redwoods, the Chaos's win over the Archers. I want to talk a little bit more about the Chaos because I think that what they've done with losing 4 games in group play and then making it to the finals here, the way they've turned their offense around has been pretty incredible. And then we'll talk about some of the best, my favorite 3 goals from this round, this semifinal round here. Before I get into it, as always, be sure to like and subscribe. Best way that you can help the channel grow. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And as always, you can go to LaxFactor.com to get yourself swag, t-shirts, hats, all that stuff, and support the podcast there. And if you are an audio listener, you can go to anchor.fm/LaxFactor to listen to the audio version of this podcast at any time if you decide you don't want to see my beautiful mug on camera. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about was the crazy goals. There was 4 goals technically, that I thought were pretty nuts. One, in the first semifinal game, the Archers and the Chaos, Byrne's between the legs goal, and I'm going to show it here as I'm talking about it. Byrne's between the legs goal was filthy, and he had a defender draped all over him, just all over him. Excellent defense as he's getting beat up. The dodge was like a dodge and a redodge and a redodge and a redodge. Finally, he just decides, hey, I'm going to go down this right side. I'm going to put this between my legs. And then when Boyle asked him what was going on there, he said something to the effect of he just blacked out. He doesn't remember it. He blacked out and put it between his legs. It was filthy, though. The placement, everything about that goal was filthy. And those are the ones that you laugh about later, saying, A, can't believe I took that. And B, I can't believe that it went in. So that goal was awesome. Ehrhardt's 4 points that he puts up, 2 goals. He scored 2 2-point goals, and that was really the difference in the Whipsnakes Redwoods game, among other things. But I mean, when you're a defender and you put up 4 points on that board, that's the game changer right there. If those are only 1-point goals, Redwoods win this game, in theory, the way things fly. But it's not just the Ehrhardt hit 2 2-point goals as a defender, as a long pole, LSM. It's that he hit them from downtown. I believe both of them, he was easily 5 yards behind that 3-point line, which puts that shot at like 20 feet against one of the best goalies in the world in Tim Troutner Jr. So Ehrhardt's 2 goals were insane. And then my favorite one, oddly enough, was Neer's goal, partly because it was his only goal of the series so far, but that was sick. For that to be your only goal of the series, where Neer comes from behind the cage and just wrap around, backhands it, and you could tell as soon as he started to go up that right side, he had already decided in his head that was what he was doing. I love to see that goal as well. So those were my 3 favorite goals of the night. Let's get in and talk about the Chaos and the Archers a little bit first. That was the first game of the night. Now, granted, the Chaos, they were terrible during group play offensively. But despite their offensive woes, Blaze Reardon looked solid. The defense looked solid, and the defense to offense. They're able to push things in transition, and that was typically where they played a little bit better, but they were struggling in all facets of offense. Nothing was working. But who would have ever envisioned that you would take who many presume to be this team's best player in Connor Fields? Now, I understand when you're saying someone is any of these teams' best player, the margins here are very small. So if I think Connor Fields is the best player on this team, someone could throw out that they think Byrne is or somebody else, and you couldn't argue with that. I mean, these guys are all that good. But who would ever think that you would put Connor Fields on the bench and he wouldn't play at all in the quarters or in the semis. And what would happen is your offense would explode for 19 goals in the quarters and then 13 goals in the semis. They go from being the worst offensive team in the series to being the best offensive team in the series. And in the semis, even, it didn't look good on paper for the Chaos. They lost the GB battle barely, 17 turnovers. They turned the ball over a boatload, but Blaze Reardon, he stands tall in cage. The Chaos defense stayed strong. And more importantly, Blaze Reardon over the fourth quarter was incredible. Granted, also, I'll say that the Archers put a little bit of popcorn on him in that fourth quarter, but he did what he needed to do. The defense stayed busy, stayed on hands, stayed in passing lanes. So, in this game here, the Chaos, they come out, they get a fast start, they take a big lead, and that ended up being the difference that the Archers just couldn't get back what they lost in the first over the first half. And over the third and the fourth, like I said, Blaze did his job, and that's all. And Blaze has been, if not the best goalie. Some people are going to, I think, argue that I think it's Byrne had better stats, but Blaze has faced a lot more shots and has been just as consistent in the face of all of those shots. So that's huge. But you talk about taking, I think it was Thompson that they replaced Fields in the starting lineup with. So attack production for the Chaos. And I'm going to talk a lot about the Chaos. Everyone wants to hear about the Archers, but hey, the Archers lost in the semis, so I don't care about the Archers anymore, even though I loved watching the Archers play. And I had picked the Archers to do big things. Attack production in the semis for the Chaos. Byrne, 2 goals, 3 assists. He had 7 points in the quarterfinal game, so Byrne came on huge. Dixon, 3 goals and a helper. He only had 1 goal in the quarterfinal game, but he goes for 3-1. Curtis Dixon does in the semis here against the Archers. And then Thompson, a goal. And he had a goal in the other game too. Thompson just kind of filling in there, playing in the crease. But I think what that probably did was you end up with, you kind of have 3 guys that are capable of dodging and carrying the ball on attack, with Fields playing with that attack group. You put Thompson in there, and that kind of opened things up a little bit more for Dixon and Byrne to be a little more aggressive, and they share the ball a little bit better. Well, that's my only gripe ever with Connor Fields, is he does tend to be a black hole, but he's a black hole that puts up a boatload of points typically. The mid production in the semis was insane. Just the number of people that the Chaos were able to get to contribute with this new freewheeling. I mean, they've always been freewheeling, but in this case, this edition, in terms of their 6-on-6 offense, they shared the ball. They did share the ball a lot better. Eric Scott goes for 2 goals and an assist. That was odd in this game. Stotts, 2 goals. Stotts had a goal, 2 goals in the quarterfinals. Then Smith, Resch, Salcido, they all put up a goal. Salcido had 2 goals in the quarters. Glacini, I mean, everybody is chipping in here for the Chaos. I mean, it's just they're getting points from everyone. And that's one thing, I think, a theme that we saw in the playoffs here, especially in the teams that won in the playoffs. The theme is they're sharing the ball, and they have guys all the way down their roster putting points up. That's one thing that's very evident about this league is good. This league is deep. Even the D middies can score sick goals. Even guys like Neer that don't score a whole lot are putting up sick goals, sick dive play from behind. So that's been a big thing. But the production that the Chaos have gotten over the last 2 games out of everybody is just that it's why they've won. It's insane. One thing I liked that they've done, they got the American midfield line in the box. And when I say American midfield line, I mean American style players and then the box style players. Salcido for Caro anchoring that American mid. You got Smith, Buchanan, Stotts, all big box guys running in that second line. And then they weasel some guys in here and there beyond that. So that was one of the reasons. I think that those midfield groups gelled well together. Their styles allowed the Chaos to play pretty much 2 different offensive styles during the course of the games. When you had the American mids in, they would stretch it, a lot more vertical dodging. And when you had the Canadian guys in, totally different. Everybody out front just trying to draw and dump. So I think that, kind of mixing it up and having 2 totally different offensive schemes that you're just throwing in, but that are totally tailored to the guys that are on the field in that moment. I think that helped them a lot. And another thing I just want to say on the side, the number of NLL guys that have done really well in this series has been incredible. It's been crazy to see how well the NLL guys have played, especially offensively. Another big difference, Blaze Reardon, 18 saves versus 9 goals. He had 12 saves versus 14 in the quarterfinals, but he stood on his head in this game. And like I said, I thought the Archers' shot selection at times was poor, but Blaze did his job between the pipes. 63% over the series. I think he is probably, once again, one of the best goalies in the league, if not the best, but consistency is key for Blaze. He's been playing tough all the time, and the fourth quarter in this game was huge for him. Another big difference, Tommy Kelly winning 14 of 26 of the draws for the Chaos. That obviously gave them a lot of possessions and let them get in their flow. Defensively, Jason Noble, 2 caused turnovers, 2 GBs. Dane Smith, one of those Canadian midfielders, a goal, a caused turnover, and 5 GBs. So you see the toughness that comes out of that Canadian midfield line. And guys like Dane Smith, it's good to see them getting in the scoring column. I think Dane had a couple of points, if not 3 points, in the semis. Did I say above? I didn't say above, but either way, Smith is a hell of a player, and another one of those NLL guys that has been playing really well. For the Archers, usual suspects, Holman, 3 goals, Schreiber, 2 goals and an assist. defensively, the Chaos did a great job on Grant Ament. One of the things you always have to do with Ament, it goes without saying, is stay on Ament's hands. Every coach that has ever game planned for him will end up saying that. And but more importantly, what they did was, even when they weren't on his hands, they did a great job of disrupting passing lanes. And I'm not talking getting sticks on balls, although Ament did have 3 turnovers in this game, which is uncharacteristic of him. But they did a great job of just being in the passing lanes. Let's just not give Ament anything to feed. Let's not leave any of these things open. They had their sticks up, their bodies in position. So the Chaos did a really good job of staying on Ament's hands where they had to, and then being in passing lanes where they couldn't. And they just did a good job of kind of jamming him up that whole game. And I'm convinced, though, with that said, about how well of a job the Chaos did shutting him down in this game, or containing him in this game, I'm convinced now. People have accused me of being critical of Ament. I have not been as much critical of Ament as I have been skeptical at what resulted in him putting up the litany of points that he put up at the college level. I'm sorry. I am a total believer. I am now going to say here on the record, I think Grant Ament is the best feeder in the world. And it only took, 6 games as a pro to prove that, but it is unequivocal at this stage. The feeds this guy puts on, the lanes that this guy finds, the vision, the anticipation, the hands, the speed. I can't, because he's capable of scoring goals, as we saw in his first game. He put a bunch of goals up. The speed is crazy, so I am all for Grant Ament. I think he's going to be, obviously, we knew he was going to be a big star. I think he's going to be a bigger star than a lot of people even assumed, and I think he really is the best feeder in the world, one of the best players in the world, Grant Ament, as just a rookie. Just a little water spider, but at this point, the kid can play ball, and he has impressed the hell out of me. I'm a believer. Overall, the Chaos looked like the Archers and the Whips in these last 2 games. They have a swagger. They're smiling. They're having fun. They're playing freewheeling ball, sharing the ball, and that has been the key. The teams that are winning are the teams that are sharing the ball and that are getting production deep into their benches, and that's something that the Chaos have been doing. It was a great game. So Chaos, congratulations to them on advancing, and we'll go from here to the Whipsnakes and the Redwoods. Late game. I admittedly fell asleep through almost all of the 3rd and 4th quarters, and I just happened to wake up because we had a thunderstorm, and I had the game still on and saw the tying goal and the overtime goal. Now, one thing, who would have thought that the Whipsnakes would win this game in the semis against the Redwoods in a grudge match without Zeddy Ballgame and Rat Mambo scoring? Rambo didn't score, didn't factor at all. Zeddy Ballgame didn't score, didn't factor at all. I say they didn't factor at all. They drew a lot of heads and drew a lot of slides and drew a lot of double teams. But who would have thought that they would win this game and have those your 2 leading scorers, 2 of the top scorers in the league, in the series? They didn't score. You're still going to win this game. That's what happened. The Redwoods, they held the Whips' 2 biggest stars in check totally, and they still couldn't win this game. And the reason why, as I already talked about briefly, Ehrhardt was huge. Long pole. He scores 2 2-point goals, both of them from deep. He also has an assist. So Ehrhardt makes up for your 2 stars not scoring by going for 5 points with his long pole. Brad Smith further makes up for that. Brad Smith was their 1st round pick, I think, or maybe their 2nd round pick last year. He didn't play because of an injury, and Brad Smith this season just added a whole new dimension to their game as a Dodger, as a playing, I think, mostly from the midfield. And Smith goes for a goal and 5 helpers. So between Ehrhardt and Smith, you make up for the lost production from Rambo and Williams. And then Nardella has been incredible from the faceoff X, MVP candidate for sure. Nardella, 18 of 26 from the faceoff X. That's been incredible. And then Byrne, you could make the argument he is, has been the most solid goalie between the pipes, maybe, but 13 saves versus 12 goals, and that was better than what Troutner put up. If we look at the stats, though, I did just want to read through those real quick because it was crazy. If we look at the Redwoods, Kavanaugh, he factored as we figured he would. The Bilbo Baggins here, he goes for 4 goals and an assist. Kavanaugh, I think the best player. I don't think too many would argue, this season, best player on this roster, outside of maybe Ryder Garnsey. I just like Kavanaugh because I think he's overall more consistent. Ryder Garnsey, though, one of my favorite players to watch. He goes for 2 goals, 2 helpers. Jack Neer has that goal. And I mean, even the Redwoods, you see, the reason they're here right now is because you look down their roster. Brent Adams with a goal. Patrick Harbison scored a really nice goal wrapping around from the left side from behind the cage. Perkovic with one. And maybe the fact that Perkovic only had one was one of the things that hurt. Maybe Perkovic needed a 2, obviously. Peterson was quiet with just 1 goal. Brendan Gleason, he usually is good for 2 points. He only goes for a goal. Miles Jones, same thing. 1 point. He had an assist. Joe Walters with an assist instead of a goal, oddly enough. So that was huge. I mean, the Redwoods played a good game, and they chipped back into this, and they didn't give up and played tough. So that's going to just continue this grudge match because the Redwoods are going to hate the Whipsnakes even more now. And then, I mean, you just look at Smith. Smith 1-5. Ehrhardt 2-1 technically, but 4 points for those 2 goals that he scored. Jay Carlson for the Whipsnakes has been really big the last few games and just big on the crease. And he does not look like an off-ball guy, but his off-ball prowess is incredible. He's very much an American off-ball player. He had a really nice flip. Maybe I should have talked about that one, but I've seen a lot of guys do the flip, so I didn't. But it's one of my favorite goals. But he had a really nice flip right on the crease. Chanichuk, 2 goals and an assist. Sieverts scoring the game winner in this game. So that just shows you as you get down the last 2 goal scorers, Sieverts with a goal and Tuttle with a goal, and then Nardella and Haas each put up assists. So it's just crazy, though, that the 2 guys I didn't say at all, Rambo and Williams, their 2 leading scorers, didn't factor. They still win this game. And a lot of that, like I said, is thanks to Nardella dominating the faceoff X, 18 of 26 out of him. So that's huge. And then Byrne, 13 saves, 12 goals against, 52% save percentage. It wasn't a Blaze Reardon level game, but he factored when he had to. And both goalies, Byrne and Troutner Jr. both made saves within the last 2.5 minutes, I think, to force overtime and make sure neither team gave up that tie and loss. So both goalies played solid, but Byrne here wins in this one simply because his team won. He saved one more shot that Troutner Jr. probably wishes and should have saved. So what's this mean for the finals? We have the Chaos and the Whipsnakes. And right now, I tell you what, nobody wants to play the Chaos. If I had to pick right now who's going to win this game, I'm going to go my prediction. I got to make a prediction on the fly here, and you can tell I didn't plan this out and I didn't do it beforehand. Let me take a drink while I'm thinking real quick. Just water in my Willoughby's coffee mug. Thanks, Barry. All right, so I am going to go with the Chaos. I think that what the Chaos have been doing all around, granted, the Whipsnakes have been doing the same thing, sharing the ball. You're seeing them win games even when their stars don't necessarily show. I think what we're going to see is the Chaos win the finals. They're going to lose every game in group play and then win 3 in a row. Is that what they ended up having to win the finals? I think they're going to beat the Whips. I think it's going to be a 1-goal game, if not an overtime game, because that just seems to be how it goes. That's been one of the great things with the PLL is that guys, you watch these games and it's 8-2 in the second quarter and I'm thinking, well, this is going to be a blowout just because I felt like it just looked like the Whips were going to roll. Not so fast. Teams, it's very much like the NBA in the sense that teams will get down and they will have their own run to get back into it. So these guys are pros. So I think that we are going to see the Chaos beat the Whips. I think that we're going to see Byrne go off. I think Dixon's going to go off. I like that attack. They're tough. I like that both of their midfield lines, and I'm leaning into really liking that Canadian box, or maybe not Canadian box, but the box guys, the NLL guys on the line together. Defensively, they beat people up. They play well in transition. The tough thing's going to be Kelly's going to have to play really good at the face-off X against Nardella. If he can just win 45 to 50%, I think if he can force Nardella to into ugly situations, the wing play has been more important than ever in this league. And Ehrhardt has been quiet at times because Nardella tends to win a lot more faceoffs on his own, I think, than some of these other guys. That's anecdotal, and I'm just kind of observing that in my head. I don't know if it's actually true statistically. The gorilla can tell us if that's true, but I think Kelly's going to do enough at the Face-Off X to keep things reasonable. I think they're going to neutralize some of those 2-point goals that they give up in transition to Ehrhardt that the Redwoods did. So I think they're going to play a little bit better defense in transition. And I think offensively, it's a wash. I think both of these teams are going to put points up, but I think that the Whipsnakes are ready to roll. I think the Chaos are on a mission. And I feel like the Chaos, they're my pick. 1 goal in either overtime or not. I don't care. But I think the Chaos are going to win this by 1 goal. The finals are when? I did keep this up so I could tell you. The finals are Sunday, August 9th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. So that is a big deal. These dudes are playing prime time on Sunday. Well, not prime time, like prime time during the day on Sunday for the finals on NBC. So it's a network game for a pro lacrosse league is freaking ridiculous. So Chaos, Whipsnakes, 7 seed versus the 1 seed, and I'm going with the 7 seed as my winner. And that's pretty much it. As I said, guys, we'll be back and we'll wrap this up and we'll talk Monday about the finals. We'll do a show on Monday morning for the finals. Maybe we even wait until Tuesday to put it out, simply because if I put it out Monday, not as many people see it. We put it out Tuesday, more people see it. So maybe that's the way we'll roll. But either way, Monday or Tuesday, we'll put the recap of the finals out, recap of the whole series. And then after that, we'll kind of just recap what happened in the MLL, what happened in the PLL, fall balls canceled for lacrosse. So we'll talk about all that stuff after that. We'll probably get back to going a little slower and then get more back into instructional type of things as we get through the rest of the summer and through the fall. Without lacrosse, it's going to look like. So as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can go to LaxFactor.com, get yourself swag, hats, t-shirts, and more. And if you want to listen to the audio version, go to anchor.fm/LaxFactor. We will be back either Monday or Tuesday. Watch one of those days. Maybe we'll throw out on social media telling you which day it's going to drop. But that is it. Hoost is out.